a wonderful Inferno for it's a wonderful Wake up, einen Dauerrekorder, das war's der Taufe, was das war. Inferno for it's a wonderful Inferno for it's a wonderful
Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Let's Pull the Trigger on a podcast, the podcast that seeks to watch and review everything ever done by Studio Trigger, at least in video format. I don't know that we're going to cover like their other things, like they made like little comics and stuff. I am joined in this podcast by my good friend, Dr. Sea Monster.
Hello, everyone.
And I, of course, am Fire Princess Silly. You may have heard me on many other podcasts because I'm super sick in the head, and why not just add another one onto my pile? So in this podcast, we are gonna, as mentioned, watch everything visual media by Studio Trigger. Generally, it'll be like an episode of something, and then we will go over the beats of that episode and talk about, them. Basically review them. Maybe even give them a rating. I don't know yet. We'll see. I'm going to give this a rating. But for this episode, we are going to be covering Studio Trigger's very first visual media project. There's nothing before this. I can't find anything before this. Inferno Cop, which we will get into that here in a second. But before we do... Hey, Doc Sea Monster, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your history with Studio Trigger, and your favorite anime? That seems right.
Well, I'm a longtime anime fan, even going back to like the 90s when things were shown with like terrible dubs on syndicated broadcast TV. But I still have fond memories of that. So, as far as my favorite anime, it's a really special place in my heart. I watched it like a really good time a really kind of formative time in my life, and it really kind of stuck with me. But I actually am a pretty big fan of Trigger. I like a lot of their stuff. I haven't seen all of it, but I think I've watched Kill la Kill about 4 or 5 times through.
So you're saying that Kill la Kill is your favorite anime of all time?
It's really hard to say, 100% absolute favorite.
Right.
Kill la Kill is definitely one of my favorites. I love the characters. I just love characters so much.
That's fair. Yeah, I see it. As many of you, or some of you, when I say many, my podcasts have 10 listeners total. So as some
we love all 10 of you.
Huh?
We love all 10 of them.
Oh yeah, we do. As some of you might know, I am a definite longtime anime fan. I have been watching it since I was 3, when Transformers was when the original G1 Transformers, which was a production of American and Japanese media, was on TV. My entire life has been saturated in anime, which is kind of sad, but also good. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite. It's actually not hard to pick a favorite. My favorite anime, as basic bitch as it sounds, is Cowboy Bebop. It'll always be Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop forever. I own it on 3 separate forms of digital media. So
Cowboy Bebop's a really standalone classic.
It really is.
It's kind of unique. It's kind of uniquely its own thing. It's got really broad appeal.
Well, what I really like about Cowboy Bebop is you could watch any episode and it's good. Like, some episodes are obviously better than others, but they're all meant to be like standalone, like mini movies. That's what Watanabe was going for, was that you could just dive in at any time and it would still be entertaining and engaging. So
Definitely.
I mean, I don't think you could step into Jupiter Jazz Part 2 or Real Folk Blues Part 2 without anything else. But
it's definitely the plot heavy episodes.
Yeah.
The myth arc stuff.
But otherwise, yeah, it's real good. As for Studio Trigger, I think my favorite thing that they've ever done, as much as I do like Kill la Kill. Obviously, I got a commission of my shark dressed as Satsuki Kirin. But my favorite so far of what I've watched has been Little Witch Academia. That anime is just so charming.
I've seen a little bit of it. It's really fun.
Yeah. What and something
I'm looking forward to like binging it for this podcast.
something I do appreciate about a Studio Trigger is the overall theme of drills, because of course Studio Trigger was formed by ex Gainax employees, and they love to remind you that they did work on Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
Like
It's kind of interesting when groups of creative people have this kind of mitosis.
yes.
Like for whatever reason, when like like this little clique within a larger creative group kind of splits off and starts doing their own thing. You get some really interesting developments, and it's really cool, I think.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's just like there are drills in Kill la Kill, there are drills in Little Witch Academia, and in their latest movie premiere, there is a lot of drilling. It's just drills. Drills is the central theme.
Drill is a man's romance,
Yes.
Lily.
Yes, absolutely. Bromances forever. And what I mean, unless the main characters is a woman, then look, okay, that was an unambiguous ending to Kill la Kill, but we'll get into it. There's a whole controversy behind that. But okay, so let's talk.
I have feelings that have changed over time
Oh,
as I have evolved as a person.
okay then. Well, we will get into that as we end Kill la Kill, which is actually the next thing we will be going over, because it is chronologically their next project. So
Wait,
go on.
wasn't the Little Witch Academia movies before Kill la Kill?
Let's take a look at the Studio Trigger wiki. We'll find out. So when did Kill la Kill come out? Kill la Kill came out in 2013. The Little Witch Academia movie, the first one, actually did come out a few months before Kill la Kill. So I guess you are correct. We will take a look at the first Little Witch Academia movie next. That is what we'll be doing next. Thank you. And then we'll watch Kill la Kill, and then
I remember that Little Witch Academia came first because I once watched like an AMV that used like the first 2 episodes of Kill la Kill, and it was just super salty, saying it was terrible. It's just a copy of Gurren Lagann, and Studio Trigger's done nothing significant except for Little Witch Academia, and it was the salt. And like in hindsight, it gets funnier every year that Studio Trigger does something else cool. It's
nice.
great. It just gets funnier every year.
But yeah, that okay then. I can't wait. I actually have not watched the Little Witch Academia movies at all. Just the series. So okay, but let's go ahead and let's talk about Inferno Cop, which I would say is like if Azumanga Daioh and Excel Saga decided, hey, plots? Let's not have that. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, Excel Saga did not have a plot, and neither did Azumanga Daioh, if we have to really think about it. But I would submit to you that they did have at least a broad stroke of a plot, whereas
well, Azumanga Daioh was really a slice of life show. So
well, yeah, I mean,
there was like a core idea, and then the episodes are just like little plots. And Excel Saga had kind of like an overarching setting and scenario with like little episodic things happening within that framework. But a little bit just kind of, I don't want to say random for the sake of random, because I don't think that's quite right. It's more like let's just have fun and put whatever we want in here. And what they wanted to put in there was a lot of references to American comics, movies, TV shows.
Uh, you know,
It's like,
to be honest, there's not a lot I remember from Excel Saga because it's a big blur. It's a big blur. But one thing I do strictly remember is that when I sat down to watch it with my friend Sean, who I rarely speak to anymore, but that's personal.
Tangent.
He made me stop. He had to stop in the middle because he's like, I feel like I'm going to get a nosebleed because this is just so I can't take it. I feel my brain crumbling around me.
see, I've always really liked like very chaotic and random things. It feels it feels kind of like harmonious with my soul. I guess that's a really weird thing to say. It speaks to me in a kind of a weird way. It's like I really enjoy very random things.
That's fair. That's fair. So I'm just guessing that Inferno Cop was kind of right up your alley. Cause
Definitely, I liked Inferno Cop a lot. There was just enough characterization to keep it from being 100% random, while also switching up genres and everything episode to episode. It's very emblematic of its time because like if you like look at like American media from like late 2000s, early 2010s, there's actually some definitely commonalities where it's like very over the top genre mashups, craziness.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I can see that.
Inferno Cop reminds me so much of one very specific thing. If you ever read the webcomic Axe Cop,
yeah, I read Axe Cop, I've read Doctor McNinja, and
exactly.
I did like Doctor McNinja a whole lot. So I absolutely see the comparison.
Oh, I actually cosplayed Doctor McNinja once.
I'm sorry, what?
I cosplayed Doctor McNinja once.
Oh, that's true, you did.
Oh yeah, you were there for that, right?
I was.
It was fun. I don't cosplay a lot, but once in a while I'll do it, and I usually have a pretty good time. But like, I can tell that Inferno Cop is coming from a similar place of like, we just want to throw a bunch of genres in a blender,
And
do whatever,
happens.
do whatever we think is cool, have fun, and see what happens.
Yeah. So to kind of give like I can't like normally for this episode or any like kind of rewatch podcast that I would do, I would try to give our viewers like okay, so this happened, then this happened, then this happened, sort of like play by play sort of thing. But I can't do it with Inferno Cop, not only because I only watched it the one time a couple months ago, but just because it's like there's just so many like crazy things that just happen that I can't connect. Like
The episodes are like 5 minutes long, right?
yeah, they are like five minutes long or so.
5 minutes long. There's a very tangential. There's very tangential. No. There's a very minor link from episode to episode.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a genre roulette, where like one episode technically leads into the next, but it's like each one is just a new thing.
Right. Like when they introduce the Terminator version of Inferno Cop or whatever, I forget what.
The Mecha Cop.
Yeah. And he's initially created to kill Inferno Cop, but in the very next episode, after they've gone back in time,
Fought dinosaurs.
to fight dinosaurs, they're like best buddies. Like that little thread, what little thread there was for that character.
Mecha Cop is my favorite character. He's he is a big metal sweetheart, and I love him.
Yeah, I mean he's a good character. I'm just saying that his one thread was just magically vanishes. Like he's programmed and designed to kill Inferno Cop, and it doesn't happen. Like it's totally forgotten, and I'm sure that was done on purpose. I'm not saying like it was accidental or anything like that.
No, they're definitely not just. It's definitely not just pure random. There's if it was pure random, it would just be nonsense and it wouldn't have any impact.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely a method to the madness. You can't, like, there is a vague internal logic. See, works of art that are very anarchic and very random, the good ones still have some degree of internal logic, and like they're still like a concept tying events to events, and Inferno Cop definitely has that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it was 100% pure random for randomness sake, monkey cheese nonsense, it wouldn't really have any substance to it. But it has enough substance to have some meaning.
I mean, I guess I could see that point. I would definitely say that just like random shows, are not like necessarily my cup of tea. Like they're definitely not something I hate, like at all. But I would say that if, as far as like a random show goes, like a show that's just random, Inferno Cop is definitely up there in shows that are digestible.
Yeah.
I do want to say that some of the themes are a little of its time. Like even though it was like, 2012, or which we don't get, which was only like 8 years ago. Like when you get older, that looks like yesterday. But there are things that happen in it that I'd be like woof. That I'm like woof. That would not fly at all. Like not even close. There's a character like Inferno Cop, like blazes by as a car. Inferno Cop can transform into a car. He blazes by some kids, and he burns one up, and that gives that kid superpowers, but also turns him black. And that would not fly.
That's now. I mean, yeah. There's the whole thing about race and skin color is very different in Japan, but like,
Yeah,
it's very explicit that this turns like a Caucasian character black.
Yeah.
With like black curly hair and everything, and that is a whole thing. That is a thing. That is a whole thing.
And then later that character goes to hell, I think, or something like that, and Inferno Cop replaces him with a piece of burnt bread.
Everyone goes to hell in Inferno Cop and
Yeah.
comes back. It's again, yeah.
So it's just like so it's very emblematic of its time.
Yeah.
Even though that time was not very long ago, but that certainly, I think, like there would be a million hashtags cancel Studio Trigger if they attempted to pull something similar today. Like, feel however you want about quote unquote cancel culture. I don't think it exists, but absolutely, that I could see that happening.
Sure. But yeah, again, there's like, again, there's a method to the madness. Like
Yeah.
and actually, like if we want to go back to Excel Saga, Excel Saga does seem extremely random to an American audience, but a lot of the things in Excel Saga are Japanese cultural references and Japanese cultural, like, social satire.
Right. Absolutely. Whereas
A lot of
Panty and Stocking, which also feels kind of random, is a lot of American culture and stuff, which is why it works so well in the dub.
Panty and Stocking also some of the same people who formed Trigger too.
Yeah. So unfortunately, because it's not a Trigger property, even though a lot of those people worked on it, we cannot cover Gurren Lagann or Panty and Stocking. As much as I like both those shows.
Or FLCL. But again, they deserve note as like precursors. Like they deserve mention as precursors to this.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Like Studio Trigger's things really do stand on as their own thing.
And I would say that's so Inferno Cop ends, if I'm remembering this correctly, it ends sort of where it begins, in that it's one Inferno Cop, but to get there, I believe Inferno Cop gets the powers of God and makes 1,000,000 Inferno Cops, and then that all compiles back in on itself.
There's a weird instrument. There's like a weird instrumentality thing that happens at some point.
Yeah, like in the very first episode, he saves a pregnant woman from a gang, and in the second to last episode, she comes back as like a deity of some sort and grants Inferno Cop the powers of God.
Yeah, she was like the mastermind behind events of the entire series and stuff.
It's so weird. uh, yeah.
All while dressed as Scarlet Witch.
That's yep, true. Yeah.
Again, American comic references. Like Inferno Cop's design is very much inspired by Ghost Rider.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like that. Because he's got the flaming skull head and like the leather outfit and the spikes. Inferno Cop is very much 90s Ghost Rider.
Absolutely, I totally agree. That yeah, there's a lot of just references to American culture in general, which I want to say it works in its favor. Like like I said, they absolutely knew exactly what they wanted to do. It's not random for the sake of random sake. It's just like they're like, I would say that it does not have necessarily a real plot.
No, it doesn't. It's just kind of like it's very clear that what they wanted to do was, okay, we're gonna do like a 5-minute genre parody for every episode until we stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that's Inferno Cop, everybody. And that's kind of an intro to myself, if you've never listened to any of my podcasts, and a good intro to Dr. Sea Monster and kind of how we play off each other, I suppose, is a good way to put that. So, hey, Dr. Sea Monster. If people wanted to contact you online, if you feel comfortable doing so, to like ask you about anime or just general stuff, where could they find you online if you feel comfortable?
I am absolutely on Twitter way too much. That is at Dr. Sea Monster, Dr. Sea Monster.
Nice. You
Sea Monster on Twitter. My little avatar thing is a shark in a lab coat.
It's true. You can find me, as always, on Twitter at DatFirePrincess, spelled D-A-T. You can find me on the numerous podcasts I do. I do so many podcasts. From One Half Podcast to Two Girls and a Forbidden Podcast to the Omnicast to this podcast to Living That X Life to my YouTube review show, which I haven't uploaded a video in a long time, of Fire Princess reviews. I'm on the internet. You can find me. I'm not hard to seek out. And with that, I don't have a call off sign for this yet. So take care, everyone.
Bye.